everybody. Welcome to Behind the Veil. It's your host, Pork Chop. Hey, do we have a banger for you today? Today we're going to look at, do we use excuses for our sin that we commit daily? And I think it's a very good way of looking at it is the way I have got prepared for us today. We're going to look into a couple of examples and we're going to see what was similar and what wasn't, and what the outcomes were. All right. So as always, let's just dig right in here, right into the scriptures right now, and let's go to 1 Samuel 15. So this is dealing with Saul, and this is where we see what happens between the prophet and the king. It says in 1 Samuel 15:2, "Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I remember that which Amalek did to Israel, how he laid wait for him in the way when he came up from Egypt. Now go and smite Amalek, and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass." And Saul gathered together the people together and numbered them in Telaim, 200,000 footmen and 10,000 men of Judah. And Saul came to the city of Amalek and laid wait in the valley. So it's clear what God told him to do. It's very clear on what he told him to do. And what we see what happens is, down in verse 7, and it says, "And Saul smote the Amalekites," I can't even say that, so from Havilah until thou comest to Shur, that is over against Egypt. And he took Agag, the king of the Amalekites, alive. All right. So what did he say? He smite them all. But he takes this king Agag and he takes him alive and utterly destroyed all the people with the edge of the sword. But Saul and the people spared Agag, and the best of the sheep and of the oxen and the fatlings and of the lambs and all that was good, and would not utterly destroy them, but everything that was vile and refused, that they destroyed utterly. All right. So the question is, does Saul sin here? Well, of course he does. He does not obey the voice of God. He does not do what God told him to do. The king is alive, and he saved all the best. That's what he did. So he's disobedient. So, verse 10, this is talking about Samuel rebuked Saul. "Then came the word of the Lord unto Samuel, saying, It repenteth me that I have set up Saul to be king, for he has turned back from following me, and has not performed my commandments. And it grieved Samuel, and he cried unto the Lord all night. And when Samuel rose early to meet Saul in the morning, it was told Samuel, saying, Saul come to Carmel, and behold, he set him up a place, and is gone about, and passed on, and gone down to Gilgal. And Samuel came to Saul, and Saul said unto him, Blessed be thou of the Lord. I have performed the commandment of the Lord. Did he? Did he do that? And Samuel said, What meaneth then this bleating of sheep in my ears, and the lowing of oxen which I hear? So he's calling him out. Saul says, I have done as God commanded. And Samuel says pretty much, really? why do I keep hearing these sheep and these oxen? You were supposed to kill them. And Saul said, they have brought them from the Amalekites, and the people spared the best of the sheep and of the oxen. See what he's doing here? The people. He's the king, correct? So he says the people spared the best of the sheep and the oxen to sacrifice unto the Lord thy God, and the rest we have utterly destroyed. Then Samuel said unto Saul, Stay, and I will tell thee what the Lord hath said to me this night. And he said unto him, Say on. And Samuel said, When thou wast little in thy own sight, was thou not made the head of the tribe of Israel? And the Lord anointed thee king over Israel? And the Lord sent thee on a journey and said, Go and utterly destroy the sinners, the Amalekites, and fight against them until they be consumed? Wherefore, when didst thou not obey the voice of the Lord, but didst fly upon the spoil, didst evil in the sight of the Lord? And Saul said unto Samuel, Yea, I have obeyed the voice of the Lord, and have gone the way of which the Lord sent me. I have brought Agag, the king of Amalek, and have utterly destroyed the Amalekites. Okay. That's not what God said, right? God told him to get rid of it all. And Samuel said, Hath the Lord as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as obeying the voice of the Lord? Behold, it to obey is better than sacrifice. So that's why we're getting that. That's one of those sayings that people love to, those little coin phrases they like to use out of the Bible. It's better to obey than to sacrifice. Well, that's where this one comes from. And that's why he's being told it's better to do what God tells you than to present a sacrifice unto the Lord, and to hearken than the fat of the rams. For rebellion is of sin, of witchcraft, stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. Because thou hast rejected the word of the Lord, he has also rejected thee from being king. Now it sets in, and Saul says to Samuel, I have sinned. Well, he wasn't saying that a few seconds ago, was he? But now that he's going to reject him from being king, now it's like, this is serious stuff. But here's what I personally think. I think if Saul turns at this moment, God's going to forgive him. Okay? Because God is mercy. Has always been mercy and still is today. So he gets removed from king because he didn't do what God said. But Samuel goes ahead, and as we read down further, it says, Then said Samuel, Bring hither to me Agag the king. And Agag came unto him delicately, and Agag said, Surely the bitterness of death is past. And Samuel said, As thy sword has made women childless, so shall thy mother be childless among women. And Samuel hewn Agag in pieces before the Lord in Gilgal. Boy, some of these cities, man, you'd almost have to teach a course on how to say some of these things. All right. So Samuel finished what the king was supposed to do. So let's look at another case. Yes, now we're going to talk about the next king in succession, which is David. And the Lord sent Nathan unto David. And when he came unto him, and saith unto him, There were two men in one city, one rich and the other poor. So Nathan's starting to read this like he's just telling this story. Okay? He says, The rich man had exceedingly many flocks and herds, but the poor man had nothing, except one little ewe lamb, which he had bought and nourished up, and it grew up together with him. and with his children. It did eat of his own meat, drank of his own cup, lay in his bosom, and was unto him as a daughter. And there came a traveler unto the rich man, and he spared to take his own flock and his own herd to dress from the wayfaring man that was come unto him, but took the poor man's lamb and dressed it for the man that was come to him. Now what it says here, this is the beginning of a new chapter, if you see that little backwards P looking thing. And David's anger was greatly kindled against the man. And he said to Nathan, as the Lord liveth, the man that has done this thing shall surely die. So he's mad that the rich man has taken this one man's little poor ewe lamb. And he's upset about it because this rich man has got many lambs. Why does he want this one little lamb? And he says that this man should surely die, and he shall restore the lamb fourfold, because he did this thing, and because he had no pity. And Nathan said to David, thou art the man. Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, I anointed thee king over Israel, and I have delivered thee out of the hand of Saul, and gave thee thy master's house and thy master's wives into thy bosom, and gave thee the house of Israel and of Judah. And if that had been too little, I would moreover have given unto thee such and such things. You're the rich man, David. You're the rich man. Wherefore hast thou despised the commandment of the Lord to do evil in his sight? Thou hast killed Uriah the Hittite with the sword, and hast taken his wife to be thy wife, and hast slain him with the sword of the children of Ammon. And right here, Uriah is the poor man, and his wife is the little ewe lamb. Now therefore, the sword shall never depart from thine house, because thou hast despised me, and hast taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be thy wife. Thus saith the Lord, behold, I will raise up evil against thee out of thy own house, and I will take thy wives before thy eyes, and I will give them unto thy neighbor, and he shall lie with thy wives in the sight of this sun. For thou didst it secretly, but I will do this thing before all Israel and before the sun. And David said unto Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. And Nathan said unto David, the Lord has put away thy sins, and thou shalt not die. So what's going on here? Well, this is the mercy. This is the mercy we're talking about. See, as we just read prior to this one, we see what Saul did. Saul's making up excuses. He's like, I try, the people, it's the people. They wanted to save the best of the lambs and the oxen. And then when he got told that his kingship was being removed, I have sinned. I have sinned. David, who knows what righteous judgment is, knows that this man should have never took this man's little ewe lamb. When he is told that he is that guy, does he make up an excuse? Oh, you got to understand, Nathan. She's beautiful. She was on the top of that house. What man would have not? He didn't do that, did he? He didn't do that. He went straight to his face before Nathan and said, I have sinned against the Lord. And Nathan was told that David, his sins were put away. That's what I'm talking about here. Do we make up excuses for our sins? Does our sins something that we hold on to and we just make up some reason why we're doing it, And I think that's it. I think the difference between these two kings is one made up excuses and sinned. The other one sinned and went straight to his face with knowing that he has messed up. But God had more mercy than even David, because David said that man should die. And him being that man, he knew he'd messed up. Because he knew how, by the way he reacted to what Nathan was telling him, proves that he knows what's right and wrong, but he did not give an excuse. And I think that's what's something that we should consider today, that when we look at things, we should probably look at the fact that, are we making up excuses for the things we continually do? Or should we, just be straight up and honest with God? I think that's the key. I think we should be straight up and honest with Him. Don't offer any excuses before Him, and just say, I have sinned. I need help. I struggle with this. I used to use tobacco years ago, and I was at least honest with it. A lot of people I noticed that were, either doing cigarettes or chewing tobacco. The thing is that people would say, well, I know it's bad for me. I know it's bad. I should quit. See, I don't know. To me, I always felt funny about that. I was honest. I was blatantly honest. I said, you know what? I love it. I loved the tobacco. I loved it. I can't believe now that it's been 18 years since I've had a usage of tobacco. Thanks be to God. And I'll tell you why. My cousin, she wanted me to help her quit smoking, and she wanted me to stop using tobacco with her so it would help her, quit smoking. And I kept telling her over and over, I don't want to do it. I love what I do. I don't want to quit. I was at least being honest, because I loved it. But it was also really, really hard to quit. And I don't know. I finally told her, you know what? I'm going to, I'll quit. I'll quit with you. I'll help you out. We'll quit together. So December the 4th, 2007, it was the last day I used tobacco. The next morning I got up. All I can tell you is that I had no desire whatsoever to use tobacco ever. And I knew something had changed. And to this day, as I'm sitting here before you fine people, I still have the same want for it. So I know not to mess with that one. I mean, I have no desire. And I think the way I looked at it is, God knew that I would try to help somebody else quit, but I was too stupid to quit for myself. So, anyways, I'm glad that part of my life does not exist anymore. But I think the point I was trying to make is that honesty is the best policy when we deal with God. You might tell people certain things, but you need to understand what you are telling Him in prayer, and you trying to overcome these things that are in your life. I think honesty has always been the best policy. That's where I go with it. And I think that's what we look at here. David is being honest. He doesn't offer no excuses. He goes before his face, before Nathan, and asks for forgiveness. Whereas Saul is offering up excuses. Well, I was just trying to save, but he disobeyed God. And, try to use, I was going to have sacrifices unto God. And it's like it's better to obey God than it is to sacrifice. So, I thought I would present that today. The tale of two kings. Both of them obviously sinned. Both of them didn't do what was totally right. And, God forgave one, the other one got removed as king. I still believe that if Saul would have, if Samuel would have walked in and seen Agag alive and the bleating of sheep in his ears and all that, I think that if Nathan would have just said, I've sinned, offered no excuse, and, I think God possibly could have restored him. But by offering up excuses for it, I just don't. It's a sign of weakness. It's more stronger that the man and the woman admit to God and be fully honest with God than it is to say, well, I'm a weak man or I'm a weak woman or whatever the case may be, and I did this and I shouldn't have done that. I mean, just be straight up and own it, because it is a part of you that you have done these things. I have. I thank God we have an advocate. We have an advocate that we can go to. But when we go to that advocate, the best policy that I can recommend to anybody listening to me is to be honest with God, because He already knows your heart. He already knows your intent. There is nothing hid from Him. That's what David thought. He thought by doing all he did, laying with Bathsheba, having Uriah killed, covering up. He even says, you've done this secretly. What I'm going to do to you is going to be open to all to see. But he just said, I've sinned against the Lord. And Nathan said, the Lord has put away thy sin. Thou shalt not die. See, that takes us to another scripture. Let's see if I can pull it up here. Some people, myself included at one time, thought this was probably one of the most scariest scriptures in the Bible. I think it's Hebrews 10. See if I can find it real quick. Probably should have already had this one up. All right, here it is. Let's go back over to it. Just put me on the screen with it. Okay, you see what it says right there. For if we sin willfully, after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins, but a certain fearful looking for of judgment and fiery indignation, which shall devour the adversaries. Okay, anybody who has ever read that and knows that they've sinned willfully since coming to the knowledge of the truth is going to look at that and go, uh-oh, that's what's remaining for me? But here's the problem. We never read the next verse. It's the next verse. When I read that the first time, I got scared. But when you look at what it says in verse 28, he says, he that despised Moses' law died without mercy under 2 or 3 witnesses. So that's my question. Did David despise God's law? No, he did not. Read the Psalms. David overabundantly tells you how much he loves the law, how sweet it is, and all that. He tells you endlessly how good the law is. The problem is that he just broke the law. He did something he shouldn't have done because of his human spirit and his human desires. But he would never say that God was wrong. This is the reason why David went to his face before Nathan, is because there's no wiggle room out of this. God's law is final, and he knows that it is right and above anything he's ever done, and that's why he goes to his face and basically says, I've sinned against the Lord, because he knows that the law is supreme. And that's why he never despised Moses' law. And that's why he didn't die in the watch of 2 or 3. Now you take Saul. Saul made up excuses for it. He didn't do what he was supposed to do. He didn't own up when he's called out. He didn't own up to it, thinking that he was pulling a fast one over Samuel and God. But again, you can't hide your sin from God. You can't do it. I've told people this in person when I talk to them. Only you know what your true sin is. You need to, take it to God, take it to Him, and then deal with it. But always be honest with Him. Always be honest with Him. Don't be like Saul. All right. Well, I think that's what that's going to do it for us today. I wanted to do a kind of a short video. We're at 26 minutes, but hey, again, check out all our other videos here at Behind the Veil, and please like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. It really helps us here. I think that all these. I think we're in the last days. I think we're coming upon the time of the time of sorrows. I think we're starting to see a lot of the stuff starting to transpire. It is time now, more than ever, to start witnessing to your family and to your friends and whoever else, co-workers. Start talking to them about the Lord, because I think the time is short. But that's why we do this YouTube channel, and we really appreciate any likes, subscribes, or any comments that you give us. Whether you agree with us or don't agree with us, we appreciate all that you do for us when you do that. So with all that being said, may the Lord bless you, and may the Lord keep you. And until we meet again, God be with you. Good night.